What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege of talking to somebody who's a notable standout on the independent scene. She is a protege of WWE Hall of Famer Dvon Dudley. She's the one, the only, Kiara Dream. Kaya, what's going on?
Hello, I'm great.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's good to have you. I mean, I think you kind of posted it on your social media. You're rested and relaxing after the little journey that you took over the weekend last week. That had to be cool to kind of recharge your batteries.
It was really nice. I haven't been ahead of vacation in years, so it was wonderful. But now we're back to work. Back
Back,
to
what is it? Back to life, back to the reality, right?
Yep.
That's a song, you know.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. So I guess I mean before putting the horse before the wagon or whatever, I guess how did you end up in pro wrestling? Obviously there was, the Dvon Dudley's Academy, but before that, like, were you a fan of professional wrestling? Were you an athlete in school? What was the deal?
I always liked fighting. Not in a bad way though. Like when I was younger, I think 8 or 9, I started watching wrestling. And my dad kind of put me onto the show because he was a big wrestling fan. So we would go to like the house shows in Georgia, and then I really just fell in love with that. I love John Cena, Mickey James; those are like my favorite two wrestlers. And then as I got a little bit older, into middle school, I started doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and kickboxing. And then as I was graduating high school, it was more like, okay, well, what am I going to do career wise? Because college just, I don't know, everyone else seemed to be okay with all that debt, but I just was not. Like, I could, I was like, no, thank you. So instead, I just pursued professional wrestling. And it just kind of came back on TV one night, and my dad was like, "Why don't you do that?" He was joking, like, "Why don't you do wrestling?" And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." Like, shouldn't be a problem. But I just started pursuing it that way. So I looked for schools in Georgia first. But I've been saving for a long time. Like, I'd always wanted to move to Florida, to Orlando.
Really?
Yeah, I had wanted to move because I used to want to be a veterinarian when I was in like, I think when I was like 10. And I knew that there was like colleges in Florida or in Orlando or something like that. I don't know. But either way, like, I always wanted to move to Florida. But then it kind of became like, okay, WWE is in Orlando. And at the time, wasn't too aware of the independents and other promotions like I
Mm.
am now. So it was just WWE to me. So I was like, well, if that's where the opportunities are, that's where I need to be. So that's kind of how that came about.
I know, I love it, and especially the kind of inclusion, because that's kind of we're kind of talking off air. That's how I got my start, is actually MMA and such here in Southern California, right? So
Mhm.
I kind of want to ask you about your kind of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, the time in it. I mean, did you do traditional gi? Did you do no gi? What was the deal? Did you compete?
I did all of that. I did traditional gi mainly. So it's a little different with no gi. Like all of my training with jiu-jitsu was gi. So I'm used to choking people like with their gi, their belt, and things like that. So when like the only it's a little harder when I got to pro wrestling and trying to include it in there because we're not wearing a gi. I'm not really supposed to be using your gear to like do things. However, I did compete in the Naga competition 2014. Yes, I won first place. I won second place first, but I always come out on top because I'm a winner. So got the first place the second time. And that was a really good experience. I think when I got to high school, I kind of started worrying about like other things, and I really wish I would have stuck with it for longer because I tried to come back as I got older, but it's just different because I don't know. It's like now I have wrestling is always my number one priority. So it's like to do that on top of something else, on top of going to work, on top of other things, it's just really a lot versus like just being in school and then doing this. So
No, I totally understand because so my deal, like I started, I mean, it's probably almost a decade about it now, and I was living in Central California with my wife and kids and what have you, and actually one of my friends who I was working with in like corporate like marketing and whatever, he was a blue belt in jiu-jitsu at the place that I ended up going, and for our lunches we would just float over to jiu-jitsu, like eat a
yeah.
protein shake, I mean drink a protein shake or whatever, do jiu-jitsu, stuff our face, and then get back to work all sweaty and whatever. And people would be like, they'd see the gi in the bag and they're like, oh, you're doing that jui jitsu, and start throwing karate chops and what have you, and it's just like,
Yes.
oh. And then I had the opportunity. The last place that I trained was Fight Academy in Pasadena, California. Herb Dean trains there. Savant Young, Heinrich Wasmer. It was just a crazy, crazy cool time. And essentially, what ended up happening was like, you know, bills and all that. Couldn't do it again. Finally saved March 7th, 2020, to go to 10th Planet Pasadena, and then the damn world just shuts the hell down.
I know that kind of killed. It was fine honestly because ever since I've graduated, I've been so used to like ripping and running and training work. So it's like I was pretty thankful for when we got a break. When everybody was like, "Okay, y'all got to sit at home," I was like, "Yay!" Besides, like the negative things like people getting sick and things like that. I don't want that to happen, but the break was nice for me, even though like I gained I think like 10 pounds at the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. It gets you. And Robert Simonson, the good producer of mine, of Jim Crashers, says Dvon Dudley's the guy who shakes his head when he talks, and he was funny to watch. Actually, I'm going to correct you, sir. That gentleman that you're thinking about is the great D'Lo Brown with the chest protector and shake his head and what have you. Dvon
Yeah.
Dudley actually did when he did the "What's Up," from the top rope and Bubba Ray. He kind of did, so I can kind of see that. But yes, just to kind of clarify it just a tad bit. But yeah, I mean, and when you look in terms of like jujitsu, you look at like the Zeta Zangs. I mean, even Thunder Rosa, is now doing it. But she, Shayna Baszler, right? And then the guys, you got Davey Richards, Brian Danielson, CM Punk, Samoa Joe, like these, like whether it be catch wrestling or jujitsu, you have this submission grappling base, and when done right, it hits pay dirt, For and then on the other side of it, right? I feel that anybody that does pro wrestling as a part of their gimmick, right? And I say
Mhm.
gimmick just whatever, but like Ali, right?
Mhm.
Muhammad Ali grew up as Cassius Clay in Kentucky, watching Fred Blassie and Gorgeous George, right? Like that's you
Yeah.
know. Mike Tyson grew up watching Bruno Sammartino, Floyd Mayweather, Hulkamania and all that jazz, right?
Mhm.
That really doesn't age well. That's me saying it, not Kaya. But with that all being said, it's there, and yes, so I was mistaken. Yep, the tag team, the Dudley Boys, 100%. Robert, you're right. I was wrong. But yeah, so it's cool that you do have that base, and even though you're kind of not currently in it per se, but I mean a Naka title. That's actually what I won. I actually have a replica title given to me by Blake Bulletproof Troop, who's actually making his wrestling debut tomorrow night. But the thing about it is like I never wanted to be Olympian. So get the holy hell out of here with your medals, right? And your
Yeah.
IBJJF rules. I was watching Bret Hart and Owen and the Hart Foundation and what have you. I want a belt. And if you attain a purple belt in NAGA, the North American Grappling Association, you get a belt. So that I want my purple belt for no other reason than to get a belt.
Yeah, I only did one competition. I would, like I said, I wish I would have done more and like kept it going. Because I at the place I was at, I don't know, was it a kids thing? Because I was younger, so we had green belts. That was the next one. So I got up to the
Yeah,
green belt, and then, but the adults had the green belts too. But I've been to another place. I think they don't do green; they just go straight to blue.
blue.
So
Yeah, yeah.
some places are. It just depends, I guess.
Yeah, different strokes, different folks.
Mhm.
Whether you do, there's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, there's catch wrestling, there's a bunch of stuff. Like people are giving belts in Muay Thai now, which is kind of weird. You just do Muay Thai. If you can kick the crap out of a tree, you're a Muay Thai fighter. Like that's
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
I would like to use more of that in my wrestling. I feel like people don't really get to see that side of me, but I don't know. I think I just got to figure that part out.
I hope you do because there's a certain like one of my favorite promotions, especially after going to see it live 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
GCW came to town and it was the highest in the room, and
Okay.
the main event was Jonathan Grisham against Minoru Suzuki, and I was
Oh
just like,
man, I love Suzuki.
oh yes, oh yes. And that style, it's just so great. But then there's another GCW production, led by none other than former UFC champion, the War Master Josh Barnett, and that that card is called Bloodsport. Actually, funny enough, Matt Riddle actually had the first incarnation of Bloodsport, and then he goes to the WWE, so they give it to Barnett, and I think they've done like 6 or 7 shows. I think if you implore some of that grappling prowess, I would like to see you in Bloodsport. I'm just saying.
I definitely, I'm working on that because I feel like that's something I've been struggling with lately. It's like, okay, what is going to work for me? Because I'm not the biggest or strongest woman. I'm pretty short. So it's like, I think, which I love my shortness. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say any other way. But for me, it's like, I'm not going to just be like doing all these power moves. So, um, that is something I've been watching a lot of Japan wrestling too lately. So that's like my favorite. Before COVID, I really wish I would have tried to take advantage of that. But like I said, when I first got into wrestling, I didn't quite understand that there was more than just WWE. And now there's so much. There's like Stardom, Marvelous. I've been really heavy on those lately. So I'm figuring it out, but once I do, I know that I'm gonna be unstoppable. It's just that one little thing that I just need to figure out in the wrestling, but I know I will. I will. So.
no, and it does take some time, right? I mean, you look at
Mhm.
like I've always been a fan of Steve Austin. I caught a little bit as a kid when he was still in world class. Feuding with Chris Adams, the gentleman Chris Adams is his trainer essentially, and then he
Uh-huh.
you know he goes over to WCW and is a part of the Danger. Well, he does a bunch of other stuff, but like two of my biggest factions of all time, my favorite factions of all time, is the Hart Foundation. I mean the all encompassing. You got Pillman, Owen, Davy Boy, Anvil, and Brett, like that right there, and then the Dangerous Alliance, where you got former AWA champion Larry Sabisco. You got a young Paul Heyman. You got Bobby Eaton. You got Arn Anderson. I There's somebody else that I'm forgetting, but obviously Steve Austin. Oh, Rick
Yeah.
Rude. Rick Rude.
Yes.
That's a stable, and people are
It
like,
is.
"Oh, the Shield is the greatest stable of all time." I was just like, "Oh, it's what is it? Currency bias, right? It's what's
Yeah.
current right now, and you're biased towards that. Your greatest. That's why I don't like the greatest of all time deal, because like your top 10, your greatest of all time, 5 years from now is going to change. So what does it matter?
That's true.
Just saying, you can't have if it's the greatest of all time, you can't have multiple. You can't call everyone the goat, right? Like,
You're right. Honestly, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I guess everyone has their opinion though, and that's what, because it's like it'll always be a feud between like Biggie and Tupac, who is the best. But it's an opinion. I love
Yes.
Tupac. Just say.
Yeah, no. My growing list of Funko Pops at the top. You can't really see it, but I've got a North Carolina Jordan, and then Biggie and Tupac, because that's just, Tupac, because I grew up in Inglewood, California, right? So
Hmm.
I remember the year before I think I went to Crozier Middle School. Pac actually, getting out of prison, he actually ends up playing the homecoming dance for Crozier Middle School.
Oh wow, that's that's nice.
It's,
Middle school.
yeah, I was just like, and I missed it by 1 year. Damn it, I shouldn't have stayed back that 1 year in kindergarten. I should have finger painted when I should have.
Should have.
So,
Mm.
I know, I know. But you were kind of talking about, and I love how introspective that you are, because you said that there's like a piece or two missing. That's so cool that you can kind of be self-aware. But I mean, look at your lineage of your Dvon Dudley Academy alumnus and graduate. And he's a Hall of Famer in itself, and he's somebody that, like, I've was a fan of him as a kid. I've had a couple interaction, all positive, with him as an adult and what have you. But he's kind of that way. He's like, yeah, all the cool stuff that I did is cool, but I'm on to the next thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I mean, you have to be honest with yourself. I feel like a lot of people like they get easily offended in this business, in entertainment business. I think you have to be very honest with what's working, what's not, what's good. Because my goal is to be at the top of everything. WWE is my goal. But when I get there, I don't just want to be there, and I want to be the top woman. I want the championships. I want to be the face. But to do that, you can't just be good. You have to be great. So I'm very hard on myself all the time on what I need to do, what I need to fix, what could work, what's not working. Because if not, I mean, especially being a woman, a lot of people will kind of let things slide, and I don't. I don't have time for that. Like we got places to be, so I don't think there's nobody harder on me than I am on me.
It's almost like you're already thinking about. I mean, you're still kind of growing in your career, but you're.
Mhm.
It's almost like you're looking at your legacy and what you're going to leave behind, which I think is amazing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if not, why are you doing it? Honestly, it's a tough business. It's a lot on your body. And people can say what they want about wrestling, but they're the ones who won't try it, who won't do it, or who will try it and then quit because it's a lot. And if you're gonna put all this stress on your body and all this time into something, why would you not want to leave behind a legacy? And I have a big family too, so I need to give my because I'm the oldest, so I have to give my brothers and sisters something to look up to. And I always have been like a leader. Never really cared what people thought of me, or I feel like I've always been kind of different. I got used to that at an early age, so it's like, I'm just trying to figure out, and I already see the vision for myself. I already see myself on top, but it's just like, okay, now we got to figure out how we get there and how we do this and execute it. But I know it's gonna happen.
I love it. I love it. And again, it's funny because my wife and I were just watching like I guess a documentary on Mariah Carey, and it was the same. Like, people were kind of, they didn't dig her at first. So people in school, she was the ugly kid in school. You're like, how are you the ugly kid and what have you? Everybody has their insecurity, but also, like, in terms of like fighters and pro wrestlers, right? That, like, I hear it all the time. Oh, I just want to fight, or I just want to wrestle. I don't care about being champion. I was like, if it's there for you, damn it! I wrote in my damn notebook in like seventh grade, Adam Woods with the belt around and the strap and whatever, world
Yep.
champion and whatever. And again, that's why I want to compete at Naga. That's why I want my purple belt in jiu-jitsu, is because that's a belt. To me, I mean, every this is all great. I love being able to talk to people. I'm so thankful for my career, right? And this I'm going to be able to do until I'm 80. I just sit in my chair and talk to interesting people, right?
Yeah.
But there's a window, an athletic window, for me to get my damn purple belt and for me to compete in Naga. I mean, MVP has done it. I think he's like a three-time champion and what have you. Yeah, and a brown belt. in Guy, out of Gracie Baja in Houston, I believe it is. But it's just like, but that's MVP. He was already a pro wrestling champion and a notable guy before he even did jujitsu. So with that all being said, like I'm not that. I'm, in many good and bad ways, I'm not MVP. So with that being said, I got work to do.
Exactly. I mean, there can only be one you too, and that's another thing. Like a lot of people in the business, it's like they like to compare themselves. It's you got to be the best you can be. I don't want to be nobody else but me. I've always been happy to be me. It took I will say it took some time to get there because, like you were saying in school, I was always, the pretty one. Not gonna lie, like I never was, that type of person. But I was always alone because people didn't want me to see my worth, and I think people will downplay you, um, being like, good looking or like one of the pretty ones. Like, oh no, she thinks she's this, or they think that you're gonna steal their shine, and that's fine because I sit by myself and like I don't need anyone because every time I would try to be a part of a group or like I guess try to follow someone and it's like they always counted me out, and it's like the only reason you're counting me out is because I shine too bright for you. And now that I realize that, I just don't have time for that. That's why you never see me with many like friends. Not saying that everyone is like that because I've met some really good women, really good people, but most of the time it's always something. It's been that way forever. So now that I can recognize it, it's like, okay, I know how to handle people like that. I don't have time for you. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to fit in. I don't care. I'm trying to make it to the top. I got somewhere to be. And all the other stuff is unnecessary because they say it's lonely at the top, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. I mean, me, because I grew up all over the place. I mean, I hope I'm not breaking kayfabe, but you're originally from Georgia. I lived in Lithonia for a year. Coming from California to actually Vegas to Lithonia, so I never really fit in. And I was always pretty much the alien because they were like, when I was in Fiji, where my mom was from, I'm too American for Fiji, right? When my dad's African descendant of slaves, I'm not black enough, right? Like, so you're
Yeah.
always kind of playing this deal. So I think it's not lost on me that the only kind of community that kind of accepts me, or at the very least tolerates me, is this combat sports pro wrestling, which is the very community I wanted to be in since I was two. So
Yeah, no, that's true. It's like that, especially like being mixed and stuff. It's like, I mean, I know people say this quote all the time, but it is kind of true. Like you're either too white for the black people, too black for the wait. I
Anglo.
always say this wrong every single time.
I go with Anglo. Yeah.
Yeah, but the funny thing though, like my brothers and sisters, like one of my little brothers is half African, half Ghanaian, and half white. My other little brother's half white, half Mexican. My
Wow.
sisters are both. Their dad is from Ivory Coast. So yeah, Ivory Coast, Africa, or they call it Cote d'Ivoire as well because they speak
Yeah.
French. So my family is so cultural that it's like, I can't necessarily say I can represent for everybody because I am what I am. But I always support no matter what. Like I never, think, oh, just because I'm this, I'm better than the next person or anything. Because my family, we're too cultural for all of that. Like, so I always want to make sure, like, I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm always like there for the culture, the black culture, and just anyone who's discriminated against because literally like my family is like one big melting pot. So it's like I want them to be in a world where they feel accepted. Whether we may be a long time from that, I don't know, because honestly, just looking at things lately, it's I don't know.
Yeah. No. To me, for whatever reason, I feel in terms of society, we lost the ability to like respectfully disagree. Like
Hmm.
that was the thing that was said around my household all the time, and it just got lost, right? Like it doesn't matter what political party, what you believe, who you marry. Like if you're cool, you're cool. If you want to be a jerk, you be a jerk. But we're gonna be cool over here, right? Like, and we're all people trying to figure it out, no matter who we serve, who we work for, how many zeros in the bank account or lack thereof. We're all trying to figure out. Nobody, I don't think anybody really knows the answers. But with that all being said, it's just like I think understanding it is lost, right? Like even this is crazy to me, right? So I've been fortunate enough to be in wrestling circles and MMA jiu-jitsu circles, right?
Yeah.
So MMA fighters love wait, actually I go like this. Wrestling fans don't like MMA jiu-jitsu, right?
Really?
Some circles. Some
That's
circles.
I guess because I don't. I wouldn't know honestly.
Yeah.
I like both, but I'm in
Yeah.
it, so.
Well, but this is the fans, right? If you're a wrestling fan, there used to be a line in the sand. It's almost taking the place of WCW, right? Like, are you a
Yeah.
WWF guy or a WCW gal or whatever, right? So it's
That's
like, oh, I don't watch that MMA, blah blah blah. I like pro wrestling, right? And then
Mhm.
MMA fans are like, oh, that fake pro wrestling, blah blah blah, right?
That's very true. That's
Right?
true. I heard that.
But the wrestlers love MMA, right?
Hmm?
MMA fighters love pro wrestling.
Yeah, there's been because like wrestling, it's the personality part, and I think that's where I struggled a lot in the beginning, and even sometimes I'm trying to figure out because when I used to do jujitsu, it's like I'm just literally going to win. I wasn't the crowd was it didn't matter because it's like I'm trying to get this
Submission?
medal, this
Yeah.
sword, whatever. Because I think I won a sword. Yeah, I won a sword in Naga. So it was like, it's different. I don't have to play to the crowd. So I think that's why a lot of times, like in the beginning of my training, they're like, slow down, you're going too fast. It's like, well, if I don't go fast, like in jiu-jitsu, like they're gonna get me. Like I cannot. But in wrestling, it's like it's a pace. It's entertainment. So let them see this. Let this sit a little bit longer. So I think that was a really like
Like,
it's like a happy medium you have to find.
yeah, I could definitely see the eye-opening deal. Well, that's why, when people do it well, like the Shayna Baszlers, the Josh Barnett's, the Tom Lawlers, heck, Allison Kay still does jiu-jitsu to this day. I think she's maybe a purple belt, maybe higher,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
like, and when incorporated, it's a beautiful deal, and those people end up doing well. But yeah, and I often say, if you can get the psychology of pro wrestling, everything else, comedy, politics, movies, everything, it's heel face, and then
Everything. Yeah.
yeah, it's everything, So I dig it.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I think, I mean, obviously, you said that you always kind of wanted to live in Florida and what have you, but I think it's fun to me that you went there because Georgia has such a rich history in pro wrestling, right? Especially going back to the territory days, Georgia
Yes.
Championship Wrestling. I know a couple of wrestling schools out there, but I mean, was that not an option? Were you just kind of hell bent, like, I'm going to Florida?
Honestly, I think it just wasn't in the cards for me because when I was there, I literally when I looked on now you can look on Google and I'm telling you, it's so many wrestling schools that come up in Georgia. But when around 2017, 2018 maybe when I started, because I don't know. Either one of those years. Whenever I was looking for, I know I just turned 18 because I couldn't do it before then. And I'm looking, and literally the only thing I seen was something that was like pro wrestling for events for parties on a Facebook page. It was not a website. I could not find anything on pro wrestling. And I'm literally thinking like maybe it just wasn't in the cards for me because I like had to call someone and I was like, hey, like, do you offer training? I see you say like birthday parties and things like that. I think it was more of a promotion and I was just trying to figure it out. and they were like, yeah, come down to this school. It was called Good Brothers Dojo at the time, and it was cool. But it was just not. It wasn't taking me where I wanted to go, and I knew that staying there, I was just gonna be in the same place. And it's like something about Georgia was just slow. And maybe it's the school I chose, because there probably were, but it was like people weren't trying to. I'm not going to say no one tried to help me, because there were people that were trying to help me. But at the same time, it's like a lot of people in wrestling when I first started, it's like they were always holding back information, or, oh no, because there was a seminar at another school and I was like, maybe I should go. I was like, hey, they got a seminar here. Is it cool? Me being kind of naive, like asking, hey, is this okay? Can I go here? Or have y'all ever been here? Oh, no, it's kind of disrespectful to go to another school to do this. And I'm like, why is it disrespectful? Like, I'm just trying to learn here. Like, and that's one thing I have, like, I really dislike about wrestling. People take things too personal. And I understand it is a business, because I'm a businesswoman too. So I do understand, but at the same time, it was like a lot of things in Georgia, they just weren't working for me. And I feel like, I'm not going to say it held me back, because I think I'm exactly where I need to be.
Right.
And anywhere I've been is where I was meant to be at the time. But to get to where I'm trying to go, it just wasn't it. It just was not. Like, had I stayed, I don't know. I really don't know where I would be right now, because a lot of things, like, people were too caught up in the personal side, when to me this is business. I'm paying my money. And in Florida too, this has happened. So it's not just Georgia, but it's like, people, it's like the personal side comes in, and it's like, oh no, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this. And it's like, I'm paying you. What do you mean I can't? I'm grown. And like, people are manipulative like that. So it's just that was one thing about Georgia that kind of killed it for me. And now, like, you have like the Nightmare Factory. I don't know if that was there when I was there. I
Oh,
really
definitely wasn't. Yeah.
It wasn't. Okay, so that's new. See, now you have all this stuff, like, that's like a direct way to AEW. Like, had
Hmm.
I known that, or had I been there, but that's why I think it just wasn't in the cards for me to stay. Like, all the signs were like, okay, it's time to go. It's time to go. And then when I kind of got fed up enough with my progress and just me, and like I said, it's not to blame anyone in particular. It's just, I think it was just what was supposed to happen. But then I was like, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at and where it looks like I'm headed here. So I just said, because I was living in Atlanta at the time, so I was just
Mm.
saving. And I didn't have much saved, but I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I was like, I gotta move. Like, I've been wanting to go to Florida, because I knew I wanted to be a wrestler when I was still in high school. I was my senior year, so I was telling my friends, I can't wait to move to Florida. My dad kind of convinced me to stay in Georgia, try it out first, see how you like it before you just take the jump move, which was okay. I was like, okay, I can agree with that. And then it wasn't working out there, so I was like, okay, nah, let me. I was like, I'm leaving. I was like, I'm gonna go get to a job fair. I seen some job fairs in Orlando, and I was like, I'm going. And then I was telling my dad, I'm like, it's like, give me like a month or two. I'm out of here. He's like, you can't do that. You can't move in a month. Not trying to be discouraging, but it's like, it probably does sound crazy, but I'm crazy and I get what I want. I do what I want. And I just have that confidence in myself that whatever I want, I can get it. It's going to be hard. Like, it definitely wasn't easy, but I like applied for the job fair. I already said I was going. Then my mom was like, well, I'm going to go with you, because, she didn't want me to go by myself. And I was like, okay, I can work with it. So I was like, that's another sign. My mom saying she's going to come. So we both are applying now, because she's like, okay, like, she's actually like saying she's going to move with me. That wasn't like what was going to happen at first. But then when she came down, it was like, we both got the same job at this sales company. And
Wow.
so my mom's been like one of my biggest supporters, and I really cannot like thank her enough for coming with me, like helping me. Um, and now it's like, ever since I moved here, even though it's not necessarily, I'm definitely not where I want to be, But if I look at it over time, like how much progress has been made, it's like, dang, like I was just in Georgia like not that long ago and doing nothing. And now I'm here. It's like I'm getting more opportunities, I'm learning things. And I think it's just like in wrestling, a lot of people, I feel like I had just kind of got the right guidance, like with Dvon. Like Dvon has finally been the person and like the place that's like really gave me the proper guidance in this wrestling business. Because before it's like people, it's like they're kind of just watching, like, let me see what she gonna do. Let's see if she'll mess it up. Instead of just helping me. And it's like,
Right.
why are y'all so, and that may be all entertainment industry. I feel like it
Yeah.
probably is.
And not just that, but I mean, you were talking about, going and trying another school or going to a seminar. Oh, go jiu-jitsu or MMA and post on Instagram or whatever that you went to open mat somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then see what your reaction of your coach would be on Monday when you go into class. It's not
Yeah.
good. And that's the thing. And I know, I mean, people are people. That's what I kind of attribute it to, right? No matter if it's podcasting, if it's pro wrestling, MMA, accounting, what have you, it's just going to persist. And again, people do try to break you. You seem somebody that has a lot of self confidence, and I'm not saying that like that you're like pompous about it, but you're very aware. And sometimes people, like you were saying, some people can't understand it or handle it, and will try to break you down and mold you. It's a military mindset, right? They break you down to build you up in their image. That doesn't work for everyone.
That's not cool for me. Like I'm a Leo too. So, and like this confidence hasn't always been this way, because at first it's like I'm also very nice and open. So it's like I feel like I've been too nice for a very long time, and now it's like I'm starting to understand that that's not going to work out in Kaya's favor. It might work out in someone else's favor because this is your business. You're getting paid a certain amount. Maybe you don't want them to go this place and see that there's something better, or it's no it was never any disrespect or like wanting to learn from someone else. But hey, I got my career, I got to get better. And also, when you're like too nice, people pick it up and then they want to push you around, because it's like, oh, like she may not know her worth or something like that. So I kind of just got in this mindset where no, I'm gonna be respectful and polite, of course, always, because
Right.
I don't know. But at the same time, there's been a lot of situations I've been in where it's like I feel like I've been taken advantage of, and I paid too much money and to put too much of my time to have this happen. And it's like I got way too much potential. Like, and also I started at 18. Like I had literally just turned 18. So there was a little like naiveness there, and never to the point where I let anybody like try me in a crazy way. Like, but at the same time, that control. It's like unless you're paying me or paying my bills, I'm sorry, or you're giving me something and you really like care, and I
Right.
can tell it's genuine, because I can always tell people aren't genuine. Like I've always been that way with people, friends, anyone. Like if you have a hidden agenda, I see right through you. Like don't
Yeah.
try to play me. Don't try me because I'm on to you. So it's just like that, and that's the weird thing about the business. But sometimes like you do have to play the game. I'm not saying like you just have to be like completely, because there are things that I don't know that I had to be taught. But a lot of the times, like there's just been situations where I feel like I've been taken advantage of, because of whatever. And I just don't think that's right. I think if you're in a big business, you're making a weekly check, and they're providing you with something in return, even if it's knowledge. But there were some places I was in where I wasn't even getting that, and it's like they weren't even teaching me the business aspect. They have their favorites, or the ones that are maybe doing things on the side that they want to help out. And I really don't have time for that. Like I got somewhere to be. I'm trying to make it. So all that, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. I am grown. Like what? I can't do what? Like, nah, that's not how that works. So I understand from a business perspective though. Of course, if I'm running a business and one of my students is paying me and I'm getting this consistent money from them, no, I don't want them to go anywhere else or see anything. Like, I need you to stay right here. But once you understand that, it's like the adult world, everybody does what's best for them. So I cannot be, oh yeah, like, because I used to be like that. Like, oh no, I mean, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. But it's like, this is my career. It's not, I got things to do.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And sometimes even like the what is the je ne sais quoi, the haters, right? That's what
Mhm.
people like to say, right? Well, they weren't a part of your dream when you were, dreaming about this in high school. When my grandfather in Fiji was a broadcaster, and my mom kind of raised me to it, and I ran away from it. But now it's the thing that now my parents are both not here, my grandfather's not here. It's the thing that I define myself in, right? And you kind of have to think, like, were those people that are talking ish about you, were they there when you were dreaming about what you wanted to get out of your career, your life, your in the industry? And they're not.
No, they're not. And also, it has to be a point where you kind of like you have to be okay with yourself because about me, they need to ask themselves, well, what did you do to bring that out of Kaya? Because that's not Kaya. Like, so at the same time, and like I accept me 100%. So I don't need anyone else to now, in a sense, not in the sense of like I'm gonna do what I want, say what I want. As long as I'm not hurting anyone, I'm doing everything I need to do, to get where I want to be, whatever makes me happy. I don't care what you think of me because when you're a good person and when you do good things for the universe, good things will come to you. And I know what I do at the end of the day. So you can say what you want to say about me. It's nothing that people really and since high school, the only thing people would try to be haters and say things. I mean, there was really nothing to say because like I say, I know what I do. You can lie all you want to, but I know what Kaya do, and I
Yeah.
love Kaya. Like, and that's all that matters. It don't matter who else do.
No, 100%. I mean, I'd say the self love. That's literally the opposite of self hate. And if you can, like, it's only I'm 36 years old now. Oh, the past 5 years of doing interviews and podcasts and what have you, like that is how I've defined myself. But
Mm-hmm.
the years before it, I mean, I was already married, met my wife at 21, like already had kids. So imagine how hollow that is to not know what your legacy is going to be, you know, until like 5 or 6 years ago, So,
Yeah, no, and people, you were taught to not know our worth. Like, I feel like you're always taught, oh no, be quiet, just be like everyone else, fit in. Like, why? I mean, for some people, if that's your thing, then do that. But for me, like, and I'm not knocking college in any way. I really think it is good. If that's what you really want to do, then by all means. But for me, it was like that's all that they talked about in school. Go to college. Go to college. For what? Like, it wasn't more like what are your dreams? What do you really want to do?
mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel like when I really do get to the amount of success that I aim to be at, I want to encourage others, show people that it's a different way. Like, you don't just have to. I mean, yes, please go to school. I'm not saying don't go to school because
Right,
I'm
right.
the advocate for that. But I'm just saying, like, whatever that dream is, I like to be able to start something to where I can help you, financially with that dream, and whatever that may be, because it's like a lot of people, they live for others, and it's hard when you're younger. Like, your grandma might say, oh, you should be a nurse, your parents might say this, and not saying don't listen to your parents, but it's like it's your life. You got to do what makes you happy because it's too short for that. Like, and then I hate, people say, oh, I have regrets for not doing this. No, like, follow your dreams and make them happen.
No, 100%. We know those people, right? Where they, like, beyond the what school I went to, how many degrees I have, what zip code I live in, who I'm married to, who I'm dating, how many figures, what car I drive, right? And then when you get beyond all of the window dressing of life, they're very hollow people. They live
They
a very hollow existence. They can't tell you outside of the country club that they went to, or I mean, it even happens with like, what gang you're in, or if you're punk, like, oh, you're not punk enough for me because you don't spike up your hair. You're not metal enough for me because you listen to Metallica. Like it happens. Like when you get people, and especially when people feel a superiority over other people, you get that weirdness, right? And it's just like
Mhm.
it's systematic at times. It's a mindset, right? It's almost like herding of a cattle, or or the sheep. But once you can kind of break out of that, and it seems like you did it way sooner than I did. So kudos to you for kind of realizing that and going like, okay, it's really up to me. And it's a scary thing because it's up to me. There's no safety net, but then it's also like it's up to me. I can do whatever I want.
Exactly. You trying to have an accent like me?
No, no. I there's a girl that when my wife and I met, we actually met at a Chili's, right? And there
Yeah.
was a girl called Martika,
Uh-huh.
and and the boss would try to tell Martika something. She's like, "I do what I want," so that's where I get that
I
from.
got you. Nah, yeah, that's true. Honestly, like I salute myself for figuring it out at that age because I don't know how it honestly just came from a lot of people like doubting me, and there's always just been that fighter in me that's just like what? Because I started working. I was used to work in a restaurant when I was like 15 up until I graduated. And I told everybody because to make conversation like, oh, what are you doing? You graduated yet? Because they all knew me, so it's like, what are you doing? What school you going to? And I'd be like, actually, like, I'm trying to be a pro wrestler, and I'll never forget this one man. Like, I hate how like powerful words are. Like, I don't know if you ever read the Four Agreements, but it's like the power of your word. And like this man, he said, he was like wrestler, you can't do that. And like I never forget, and I'm like, bet I got you. Let's see. And I don't know. It's just like so many people were doubting me, telling me what I couldn't, but I just knew that I didn't want to be like any of them. Like, I don't want y'all's lives because I come from like a smaller town. Like, I lived in Atlanta after, and I always went back and forth. Because it wasn't that far. So I know about Atlanta too, but I'm really from like a town called Macon.
I know
Um,
exactly where that is.
oh God.
And they used to have WCW tapings. Like it was funny because Tony Schiavone. I was living in Lithonia. What was it? 30 minutes outside of Atlanta, if there's no traffic and what have you,
Yeah, it's not.
right? Yeah, right. But Tony Schiavone would come on WCW Saturday Night, and in Macon, Georgia, and I was like, to me, I'm living in California, Las Vegas braid, right? I'm like, this is all Georgia, right? So like, it's like, Dad, it's like 20 minutes away, right? Like we could
Yeah,
go.
honestly, everything is people mainly like call everything Atlanta, like even if it's not.
Like Southern Georgia, and you're like, I'm from Atlanta. Like what? What?
Yeah, like no, nah, yeah. I did live it. I loved Atlanta though. There is one place like I do miss Atlanta. And like the culture there. Now my hometown, the longer I've been away, the less I have love for it. Like the more I kind of hate it.
Ooh.
Um That's just because like everyone always was so negative. Like I have good experiences, but it's like always like when I think about it, it's just always something negative or like people are like still like they're like behind, like slow in the mind. Like it's just like I don't know. I just don't want nothing to do with it no more. I mean, I want to see my family, but and at a time and even maybe later in life like I would like to go give back to where I come from, but I feel like what did they give to me? Like every time I said anything about my dream, some people support it but rarely, or like you can tell like they didn't really believe me because no one ever really does anything from there. And I used to go so hard for my city when it's like my city ain't go hard for me. They might when I make it, but there nothing came out of that besides like negativity, and they made me scared to leave. Like, boy, when I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Florida. Florida, oh my god, people are crazy there. And I'm like, are they? Like, but I still went for it. And like I said, I'm thankful for my mom, because I know I still would have went, but I know with her, like, when she did, how she stayed with me for a while, it really just helped me be more comfortable, because I don't think I would have came back home. I would have figured it out, but still, it just made it better. And I really appreciate her for always supporting me in whatever I wanted to do. That's why, like, I gotta go so hard. Like, I don't do this for fun. This is, it means a lot to me. Like, I gotta make it. I gotta be on top, and I don't just want to be like, oh, I just got a contract and I'm just here. Like, nah. She got signed. Oh, I'm scared for my spot, because Kaya ain't nothing to play with, but that takes time, and I got to get to that point, but I'm working on it. I'm always working on it. Like, it's coming.
No, absolutely. I mean, it literally exudes out of you. So, and yeah, and it's weird, but they're almost projecting in terms of your hometown or family. They, somebody crushed their dream. They wanted to get out, or they wanted to stay in and help the community, and then something happened. It's just like you vote a politician in, right? And they're like,
Mhm.
what their promise, and then they get there, and it's just like the same as the one that you didn't vote for. You
That's
know,
true. And a lot of people, they might like quit when things get hard too, and that's when they're like, oh, it wasn't what I thought it would be. Well, it never will be, but it's like you done already started, or you came so far. Like, how could you just accept? Some people can't. I don't know. Like, I'm the type. It's just like, hey, we in it now. Like, it ain't no. And I'm gonna do whatever I can to figure it out. Not like, oh, because I can't say that I've really failed. It's just more like times have been hard, and but that's normal. And every time, like now, I guess like I've gotten to the point in my life where it's been hard, and I'm still here. I'm still doing my thing. Even when my bank account has been on E, I'm gonna still get a combo. I'm gonna still make sure, like, I'm straight. It's just I've never been like that down and out. Never say never, but it's like to the point where I'm always okay. Like, even when though things have gotten there, it's like we find a way, we make it out. Like, it never does, because it's like it's what you do about things. Like, you can let stuff bring you down, and oh my god, just die. I guess I don't know. I don't got time for that.
anybody got time for that?
Ain't nobody got time for that. We got to keep moving. We got things to do. Because I can't lie and say sometimes I don't, have my moments, but that doesn't mean that it's over. Like, I just be like, all right, Kaya, time's up. Let's go. Let's keep going. Like,
Yeah, no, and I mean, I appreciate that. There's a lot of people that are trying to find that, and it seems like you have it pretty innately, and maybe hearing your story and the confidence that you have in yourself, maybe people, hell, myself included, right? Selfishly, like I kind of go like, maybe I am okay. Like maybe I can do
yeah,
this. Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
can make a way. Like,
yeah.
if you want to make a way, or if you want something bad enough, you'll figure out a way to do it. And it's like, to me, a lot of like, I will say I'm kind of spiritual. Like, I listen to my intuition. I'm kind of into things like that. So it's like, um, I feel like I'm protected, and I'm looked out for. But I also make a way. Like, I'm not just gonna fall and stay down, because. But maybe that's that fighter in me too. I don't know, because every time, like, you just keep going.
Just keep on going. Just keep on going, right? Um, so, really quick, I mean, there's a lot you could say about your trainer, the great Hall of Famer Dvon Dudley, but without spelling too much of like his secret or what have you, is there a piece of wisdom? Is there a funny story or anything that you could impart? Because I grew up with Dvon Dudley. Like it,
Mhm.
like I at Highest in the Room, right?
Mhm.
Unannounced, Too Cold Scorpio comes out, and we're like, oh damn! For me, it
Yeah.
was so big because like my dad didn't even watch wrestling really, right? But
Mhm.
anytime Too Cold Scorpio, Ron Simmons, Harlem Heat, what is it? Bad News Brown, Bad News Allen, and Devon Dudley came out. Even with like the cheese grater ECW, like Bubba Ray couldn't do it because he had a rebel flag, but Devon could.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any stories, any wisdom, anything?
Defense great. I have a bunch, honestly, but yeah, I'm just one of them. He always normally tells us like when it comes to like trying new things and being different. He's like, just try things because he was basically saying like the whole "what's up" thing, like the "what's up" thing they did. He would say, Bubba was telling him to do it. And he was like, "That's so stupid. Like I'm not doing that." And literally, he said he tried it one night or whatever, and then after that, like Vince kept making them do it basically, and was like, "No, do that thing, do it again," because like basically it's getting over. So that's kind of like a piece of advice like that I take, where it's like you do have to try new things and you do have to be really out there because for one, like what do you really have to lose? It is scary. I'm not gonna lie, like just doing random stuff because sometimes like it might people might cheer and then sometimes you might just hear crickets and it's like you can never do it.
I've been there. No, and you know the origins of the "What's Up," right?
Yeah, I know I've seen it on Scary Movie, but it was Bud Light, right?
No, it's a Seven Up, right? And Orlando, yeah, Orlando Jones, who's an actor, comedian, and what have you, he's been in a bunch of stuff. But Orlando Jones, there was an ad campaign, and it was like, "Make seven up yours." But
Oh,
it was like, "Make seven up yours," and this is around the same time of the Attitude Era, and now there might be a certain faithful person that might be a performance center coach that was telling little kids to point at their genitals and suck it.
yeah.
I'm just saying. That's me saying that, whatever. But it was those kind of raunchy kind of humor that was vogue in the mid to late '90s and what have you. So there was that deal. I mean, I actually rocked a "Make Seven Up Yours" shirt, like "Make Seven Up Yours" in the back, right? But this that maybe went a year for Seven Up, right? Big
Mhm.
company like Seven Up, they made it a like 20 some odd year gimmick. Like they
Yeah.
win, they win.
Really? No, that's the truth. Because honestly, like you just have to find something that sticks, and then you can't be afraid to do it. Like I think that's where I kind of got to get out of my comfort zone and really start. Try. It's not that I feel like I do try things. I just don't go all the way with them, and that's because I have so many different ideas. Like by the time like next week comes, I'll be already on something else. Like so it's just like that part and then like also with the social media like I guess giving people a little bit more because
Mm-hmm.
I do post pictures but I do want to start giving people a little more personality. It's just more like I'm kind of like a I work in silence type person
Mm-hmm.
and I like to show you when I'm on top. But people do want to see the daily like the struggles, the good, the bad and everything. Like that's just the world we live in now. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to adjust to that, and that's something I think will also help. So,
No, no, 100%. I mean, my mom used to tell my sister and I, "Oh, don't tell anybody anything, until it happens, so you don't look like a fool." But then now the whole thing is speak it out into the universe, and it'll happen. And I'm like, but that's different than
I know it is because, like, it's really, I don't know. Some people do it so easily, like, they just don't care. And that's another thing, like, you really have to just not care what people think. And to an extent, I guess, like, I don't. It's just like, I think more of it with me is like, I just don't like everyone seeing every part of me because like where I come from too, like the more information you give, the more people can take advantage of you.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't and like I read 48 Laws of Power too. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't really want to say too much. But at the same time, like you kind of just that's just the way it is, especially with the business I'm in. So I guess the quicker I can hop on that train as well, the better off I'll be. So
Exactly, exactly. Um, any time period, any arena, what have you, or past, present, and future, who is your dream opponent? And venue, is there a venue that you wanted? Like, is it Tokyo Dome? Is it Madison Square Garden? But whoever. Like, this is an open ended question. If Kiara Dream can basically wrestle anyone in their dream match in their prime, who would that be at this time?
that's a really good question. I want to say Mickey James just because, like, I grew up really just loving like every like she was my favorite wrestler. I would come out like just like try to dress up, have her thing, her I even got some gear kind of made like the flare legged pants she used
Yeah,
to have.
yeah.
So I would definitely say Mickey, especially because she's still like doing things now. An arena in particular, I'm not really sure on that one. I would like to go to, let's see, because I've wrestled in Georgia. I've wrestled. I like to wrestle in Cali.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
in
Okay.
Cali, I think. But as far as a specific arena, it don't matter to
Well,
me.
I'm gonna throw out. It has to be Universal Studio in like a six-sided ring for Impact because that was like her in her essence. Of course, the Trish Stratus feud was amazing, but like if
Yeah.
you're doing Mickey James, it's either Impact Arena or the NWA Empower
Oh
deal. And
yeah,
so,
her Empower. Yeah, that's been great. And like her hardcore country,
mhm,
especially like I'm from the South too, so
there it is.
but yeah, Mickey, she's always been a woman I've looked up to. And just like her energy, like and also because she wasn't like every other woman, I feel like, and she was okay with that, and she like I remember a segment where she was like, we all come different shapes and sizes, like until I think I don't know, was it Michelle McCool? Like
Yeah, yeah. Lake Cool,
yeah,
Michelle
Lake
McCool.
Cool
Yeah,
like ruined the whole thing. But her promo before that was really good.
yeah.
um,
No, 100%.
yeah.
Now, obviously, Kai, you've come such a long way in such a short time, but you couldn't do that without support of some sort. I know you're a lone wolf, but let's get some shout outs out of the way. The people who have supported you, take as long as you like. Whoever you want to mention, whoever you don't want to mention, that's cool. It's your time.
Let's see. Oh, I definitely like to give out a shout out to Dvon Dudley. I will say my parents, mainly my mom, for moving down here with me. My grandma, she's always been there. Let's see, my boyfriend, of course, he's been very supportive. Um, I also want to give a shout out to my old kickboxing coach, Nadine, because I don't know, I was thinking about her the other day and I'm like, she just really inspired me at a young age that like, that I could do anything. And like, I just feel like she was just like such like a great like woman, like inspiration to look up to. I don't know. I can really count on one hand my support system. Let's see. I want to thank me for
Yeah,
being. I mean, I'm kidding, but I'm not. And yeah, because honestly, I hope I'm not leaving anyone out because I feel like yeah, like that's mainly my family is my
yeah.
system, and those closest to me. Because if I let you in, like you got to be something pretty special. Um, but yeah, I'll say just like mainly my family, like my uncle, my grandma, mom, dad, all of them. And then of course like me, my brothers and sisters are young, but obviously like they really push me. So um to be great. So thank them too.
Well, I think you're great as well. And for people who want to witness the greatness in action, where's the best place that they can find you on the internet?
So I right now I really just do Instagram and Twitter. So and I don't really do Twitter like that. But it's just Kaya Dream. So KIAH Dream, Instagram, Twitter, and hopefully or soon I'll be doing a YouTube so y'all can see a little bit more of this personality, and not just this beautiful face.
There it is. There it is. And I went and scoured the interwebs. Not only is the Instagram, but also the Twitter is right in the description. So yeah, there you go. You can find her. But Kaya, it's been amazing. You set off my weekend just right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. Dude, the significant other is doing some cool stuff too. I'm a fan of his. So shout out to that gentleman, and shout out to your mom, and shout out to all of you guys who are watching According to Woods podcast. We couldn't do it without you. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I mean, Kaya, you're subscribed, right?
Yeah, I believe so. On the yeah.
Yeah, dang right she is. So be like her and go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. But if you don't believe her, you don't believe me, and I don't know why you wouldn't. Well, here's pro wrestler Zeta Zhang.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make sure you subscribe to